Hello and welcome to Rise and Unwind. Each week we connect with people across the country to share ideas, inspiration, and simple ways you can enjoy life right in your own neighborhood. I'm Kayla, and on this week's show we've got this.
I think a lot of it was just our cast. You know, we had Elle Fanning playing Margo, Michelle Pfeiffer playing Cheyenne, her mother, and Nick Offerman playing Jinx, her father, the pro wrestler. And those three could really balance so much.
There they have videos, lessons, quizzes, practice problems for each SAT skill. So once you know which ones you want to work on, you can go over there and do targeted practice, all for free.
You can take it a step up, right? You can build your aromas to it. Add a little garlic or onion, shallots even to the pan first.
And all those greatest hits we will play on stage at the Residency in Vegas.
All that and plenty more. So sit back, relax, and let's rise and unwind.
There's something powerful about a song that feels real, like it was pulled straight out of someone's life. Country artist Harper Grace has a new single called If Daddy Says No, and it's all about that push and pull between following your hearts and honoring where you came from. She's a Texas native with more than 17 million career streams and national TV appearances under her belt, and now she's stepping into country radio in a very big way. Harper Grace, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
I'm so wonderful. How are you? Thanks for having me.
We're doing good over here. We were listening, and that song just feels really personal. What was happening in your life when you wrote If Daddy Says No?
Well, I'll tell you what. I was in a relationship that I thought I was so in love, and I was ready to run away, get married, and do all the things. But thank the Lord, because my dad said no. So this is a very, very true, very personal story. And at the time I wrote this song, I was really stuck in between what the right decision was. I grew up in Texas. I have been so close with my dad ever since I was little. We went to father-daughter camps together, and I've always, always respected his opinion and what he thought of really anything. And at this time, I was in a relationship that did not honor me very well at all, as well as didn't honor my dad or my family. And so that really, really ate me up on the inside, which is what inspired If Daddy Says No. And it was a scary thing to write, and it's been a scary thing to talk about, but I'll tell you that the listeners of getting the opportunity of playing this song live have really been the thing for me to be encouraged to actually share this point of my life, because after I've played it live, I've heard so many different people's story of whether their dad actually did say no, and it was, you know, a really bad relationship and they are no longer together and went through a divorce or whatever it may be, or their dad said no and they actually didn't end up getting married, or their dad didn't, you know, chime in and they wish they did, or their dad did say no and they're living happily ever after. So there's so many different outcomes. And when I wrote If Daddy Says No, the lyrics don't have a resolution in the song, so that the listener is able to piece together what it is that their story might be in the midst of the lyrics. And so for me, my resolution was my dad did say no, not to love, but to remind me that true love is worth waiting for, and finding somebody that really, really honors and respects you as a human being, as well as your family and what matters most to you is important.
And you've already had some huge milestones, national TV performances, 17 million streams, even a Netflix sync. How does this single feel different as your first one going into country radio?
Honestly, it feels like I ripped a piece out of my heart and put it on paper and then passed it out to a bunch of people. And I think that that's the beauty in it. I think that I always have fun writing music. I always enjoy telling, you know, fun stories with Take It to the Grave, Getaway, that's in the Netflix movie. But this song was so personal and so vulnerable. And I just wanted that to set the tone for this year, especially coming out with new music towards the end of the year as well. This is kind of this waterfall trickling in on an album, hopefully soon, and the album would be called Dear Heart. So these are really pages just ripped out of my heart of areas of my life that people don't quite know about, that I'm ready to share because of having the opportunity of playing them live for a couple years now, and knowing that so many other people have also walked through these situations and these experiences in much different ways. But yeah, it does feel different because it feels vulnerable.
All right, here's a question I like to ask artists and people that are creators. Who is an inspiration for you that is outside of the type of, like, that is not a musician or somebody like that, like a country singer, that is outside doing their own art? What is it? Who is some in another form of art is an inspiration to you that you use in your own world and building creativity?
In another form of art, I think I spend a lot of time listening to music, so that is definitely something that in the most artistic thing has drawn me. But I do listen to a lot of podcasts and a lot of preachers. And I think that that's a whole nother art, is bringing scripture to life and talking about it. Jensen Franklin is someone that I really look up to. Jonathan Pokluda is someone that I look up to. Sadie Robertson. There's this wonderful podcast called Girls Gone Bible. I listen to that a lot. So I think maybe that's another piece of art in my personal opinion that I really draw a lot of inspiration from.
And for people discovering you for the first time, how would you describe your sound, and what would you want them to feel when they actually hear this track?
I would describe it, my sound in general would be a soulful country with a little bit of classic added to it. I would hope that when people hear If Daddy Says No, that they could do some, maybe some searching of what that personal piece is that is attached to that song, and know that there's ways to get it out and talk about it, and music is a wonderful way to piece personal bits of your own life, whether that's If Daddy Says No or your favorite artist. But yeah.
Harper Grace, I want to thank you for hanging out with me today. You can check out Harper Grace's new single, If Daddy Says No, when it hits streaming platforms February 27th. And to learn more, you can follow her journey. Visit harpergracexo.com and find her on social media. Harper, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a wonderful time. Top tier, 10 out of 10.
Well, thank you. Have you ever wondered what it really takes to send technology to the moon and then make it work once it's there? There's a new documentary called Drive Me to the Moon. It takes viewers behind the scenes of a groundbreaking lunar mission and the collaboration that made it possible. So joining us today is Fabiana Neves, Vice President of Castrol Americas, to talk about the film and why this moment matters for the future of space exploration. Welcome to the show, Fabiana. How are you?
Thank you for having me. All good here today. Thank you.
All right, for our viewers just hearing about it, what is Drive Me to the Moon, and what story does the documentary tell?
Drive Me to the Moon is a documentary where you will see everything behind the scenes on what it takes to be in the moon, from the concept to design to collaboration to bringing innovation, technology, and all steps towards making sure, hey, we are in the moon again.
And the movie follows the Lunar Voyage 1 mission from early testing to touchdown on the moon. What do you think will surprise people most when they watch it?
Well, the first one is making sure that the collaboration with the private sector and how new innovation has evolved and made it possible for the first time ever be in the lunar South Pole. So that's a pioneer opportunity never done before, and you can see firsthand, right? So on the documentary.
Mission control is also a big part of the story. What makes this operation so unique compared to past lunar missions?
Mission control is the brain behind the machines and truly what monitors, give control, as well as receive the data and insights of everything that is happening from the moment of the launch until the machine is in there, right? So is the brain, is the women behind everything that happens, right? So the ability to monitor, to receive the images, the data, the insights, and then turn this into actions that we can learn and evolve further is definitely the heart and the brain behind everything happening there.
And Castrol has been involved in space exploration for decades. How did that experience shape their role in this mission and making of this film?
For over 7 decades, we have been partnering with NASA since the Apollo mission, worked with the Mars missions, with the rovers, the Opportunity, the Curiosity, the Perseverance rovers, and our technology have evolved and enabled these missions to be successful. Now partnering with Lunar Outpost and the private sector to making sure that we do evolve, that we bring the technology, and our lubricants enable those missions to be successful is critical, has been critical for Castrol. We are really, really proud of being partnering and working and evolving with the space industry.
With renewed excitement around lunar exploration right now, how does this mission help set the stage for what's coming next?
Yeah, great question. We are definitely keen to support the goal of finding a sustainable way of having human presence in the moon. This mission was a first step towards that goal, so we are keen to continue partnering and making sure that, hey, we can make this a reality and there is a sustainable way for having human presence in the moon.
So where can our viewers go check out Drive Me to the Moon and maybe get more information?
You can go to our website, castrol.com/drive-me-to-the-moon, and also you can find us on YouTube.
Fabiana Neves, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
More than 60 years of rock and they're still filling arenas. From Rock You Like a Hurricane to Wind of Change, the Scorpions have sold over 110 million records and helped define rock for generations. Now they're heading back to Las Vegas for a brand new residency celebrating 6 decades of music. So joining us from Germany, we've got Klaus Meine and Matthias Jabs of Scorpions. It's great to have you both here. How are you?
Great.
Very good. How are you? Thanks for having
Good morning.
us.
I'm doing good. All right. It's been 60 years. That's one heck of a long time for pretty much any business. When you look back, what stands out most about the journey from those in the early days in Hanover to now headlining another Vegas residency?
Oh, it's crazy when you think about it, you know, because for a German band, when we started out in the early 70s, writing lyrics in English, you know, it was a big dream, you know, to say one day we'll play the United States. And when we had the chance to come over in 79 and throughout the 80s, you know, this dream came true, you know, and it's a wonderful thing after so many years that we're still together, still playing a global stage and, still rocking like a hurricane. And we can't wait to come back for another residency in Vegas in September and hope many, many fans from all over the place will join us and see us there.
And songs, like you mentioned, Rock You Like a Hurricane, No One Like You, and Winds of Change, still connect with a new audience. What do you think gives those songs that staying power?
I mean, first of all, with No One Like You, I think we were in 1982 with a Blackout tour. We were the most played radio song on rock radio, at least, and gave us the headline status in the States touring, and then followed by Rock You Like a Hurricane. The 80s were extremely good for the Scorpions, and with Wind of Change, we topped it all in the early 90s, and those are 3 iconic songs which we still play live and which carried us through the decades, you know, plus many other songs like Still Loving You, Big CD Nights, whatever we have. And all those greatest hits we will play on stage at the Residency in Vegas.
Yes, Vegas has become a home base for you. The last couple of years, and I think we talked last year, what makes this residency different from the previous runs you've done?
We have to find out. I mean, we are still on the 60th anniversary tour. We will always play the greatest hits because, you know, there's such a great demand from the fans. But we have time enough to think about something very special.
So when you build the set list for a show like this, how do you balance the massive hits with some of the deeper cuts and maybe even some new material?
They have to be a good balance, you know, because there's so many songs that the fans want to hear, definitely, you know, and so we throw in songs also from Rock Believer, our latest album, you know, so like songs like Gas in the Tank, but also all-time classics like The Zoo, Loving You Sunday Morning, Tease Me, Please Me, you know, all these rockers, and a couple beautiful ballads like Send Me an Angel are in the set as well, you know, so many songs we just have to play, and then we think about on digging deep into some other material we haven't played for quite a while.
So after 6 decades, what still excites you about walking on stage and hearing that crowd?
The fans. I mean, it's a roar of the audience. The minute you go out, you might be nervous before you walk out on stage, but the minute you see the fans, you're connected and it clicks, you know, and together we have a magic evening, rocking out like crazy. And especially in Vegas, there couldn't be a better place to celebrate 60 years of Scorpions.
Hey, I want to thank you two for joining me today. Scorpions coming home to Las Vegas. 60 plus years of Scorpions kick off this fall at PH Live at Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino. Tickets are on sale now. Get them at Ticketmaster.com/ScorpionsVegas. If you ever wanted to hear those anthems live in one room, this is your chance. I want to thank you two one more time for joining me today.
Thank you so much.
And enjoy. Have a good day.
You know what happens when life throws everything at you before you even have a chance to figure it out? That's the idea behind Margo's Got Money Troubles, a series that follows a young woman navigating money, identity, and some very unexpected choices along the way. Today, we're joined by Rufy Thorpe, the author behind the story, and Eva Anderson, executive producer and writer on the series, to talk about bringing this bold, funny, and very real world to life. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having us. Yeah, thanks so much.
All right, Rufy, this story started as your novel. What was the moment that you knew Margo's story had to be told in this way?
Well, I think the whole book really began to come together. I'd had this idea for a character who was both a mother and an OnlyFans model, but when I brought in her father, who is an ex-pro wrestler, that's when the draft really started to come alive, was watching the two of them together.
So, Eva, when you came on to help adapt it, what stood out to you about Margo as a character?
I mean, Margo's such an interesting character in Rufy's book. She's very resourceful. She's scrappy. You know, early in the book, she gets pregnant, has an affair with her college professor and gets pregnant, but is very she doesn't blame anyone for it. She just decides to take what life has given her and make something of it. And because of that, you get to follow her into all these really interesting places. She's also just like very funny, and she's very loving, and she's a great mom, and she's a great OnlyFans model. She's somebody you really want to root for, Margo.
And the show balances humor with some really real life struggles. How did you find that tone without losing either side? And how much did you pull from real life moments?
I mean, it all came from Rufy's book. She has this really interesting tone that's both very, very funny and at times very dark. And I think a lot of it was just our cast. You know, we had Elle Fanning playing Margo, Michelle Pfeiffer playing Cheyenne, her mother, and Nick Offerman playing Jinx, her father, the pro wrestler. And those three could really balance so much in terms of putting them through really difficult things while never losing their heart and their humor and their love for each other.
And there's a lot of themes here. There's money, identity, motherhood, even some internet culture. What do you hope audiences take away after watching?
I hope that they feel more empowered to make their life something they want on their own terms.
The book's and the show's very non-judgmental, and I hope that they don't judge other people and they approach the people they love with love.
And now that people can watch it, what are you most excited for audiences to experience or react to?
Nicole Kidman wrestles Nick Offerman in a pro wrestling ring. And so that's pretty exciting.
I just love getting to see Elle Fanning, this feral and sort of bestial and very much a wrestler's daughter. And also the portrayal of that first postpartum period, I feel like is more accurate than I've seen on TV. And I'm excited for people to see her this way.
You buried the lead with Nicole Kidman and Nick Offerman there, all right?
Yeah, and Michelle Pfeiffer sings. That's also important.
All right, I'm excited for all of this. Margo's Got Money Troubles is now streaming on Apple TV, so you can catch up on the series and see why so many people are already talking about it. Hey, I want to thank you two for joining me today.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for having us.
The SAT has been in this weird spot lately, optional at some schools, but still pretty important for a lot of students that are trying to stand out. At the same time, there are more free prep tools out there than ever, which changes how families approach it. Priscilla Rodriguez is a senior vice president with the College Board and spends her time focused on college readiness. Good to see you, Priscilla. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
So why does the SAT still matter for students right now?
So the SAT remains an important part of students' college and career planning journey as they're wrapping up high school. I mean, it's really for two main reasons. You mentioned at the beginning that kind of college application policies have shifted in recent years, and that's definitely true. So students are now navigating a reality where some colleges require scores and some make it optional. So having an SAT score keeps all of your options open. On top of that, having an SAT score gives you a measure that colleges understand and trust. right? It's a measure of what you've learned in reading, writing, and math, regardless of what high school you go to or where you live. And having that single standardized measure is getting more and more important as we continue to see high school GPA inflation and the increasing use of AI. And then the second reason that the SAT remains so important relates to scholarships. So we know many families are worried about how they're going to pay for college. SAT scores can connect students to and unlock for them scholarship dollars, which can make a huge difference in families' ability to navigate that next step for their student.
Okay, so what are some of the most useful free tools students should know about?
A lot has changed in terms of what's available for SAT practice. And as a mission-driven nonprofit, we've made a commitment. We want every student to have access to great practice resources for free. So the first and most important thing for students and families to know is that they should download Blue Book. This is the app where they're going to take the SAT on test day, but it's available to download at any time. And inside of it are 8 full-length SAT practice tests. These tests act and are scored just like the real thing. So when you take one of them, you get a score back, you get an analysis of your answers, and you get insights about which of the reading, writing, and math skills you most need to focus on. And then students can take those insights over to our partners at Khan Academy. They host official SAT practice. There, they have videos, lessons, quizzes, practice problems for each SAT skill. So once you know which ones you want to work on, you can go over there and do targeted practice, all for free. The last resource I want to mention is our newest one. We recently announced a partnership with another nonprofit called Schoolhouse.World. They host what they call SAT boot camps. These happen over video. They're live. They're groups of students who get together to be tutored by another student who's taken the SAT and done really well on it. That tutor has kind of an official curriculum and practice materials from us and Schoolhouse, and they take their peers on a multi-week journey to help them build their confidence and preparation.
How do SAT scores actually factor into college and career decisions?
It's a great question. The SAT is a test, which we of course know, but I hope students and families can also think about it as a tool. It's a tool for showing what you've learned to colleges and identifying colleges that could be a great fit. Excuse me. It's also a tool for unlocking scholarships, like I mentioned. And increasingly, it's a tool that's helping students think about their career paths. When they know what their skills and strengths are in reading, writing, and math, we have tools over on a website we host called bigfuture.org that can match SAT skills to student interests to career paths, helping them understand where their interests are and what education they might need to be able to pursue the careers they most want.
The move to digital is a big shift. What makes Blue Book secure and reliable?
That was a big change. So about 2 years ago, we moved the SAT from paper to digital. And as I mentioned, testing happens on that Blue Book testing app. Blue Book on test day completely locks down the student's computer. They cannot access anything else, which is what keeps the SAT this pure AI-free measure of reading, writing, and math skills. On top of that, as a digital test, we can now pull together unique combinations of test questions for each student rather than giving every student the same questions on a given day. And then the last layer of security is the fact that even though the SAT is digital, it is not a take-home test. You still take it in a classroom with other students and trained adult proctors who are there to make sure that everything is smooth and secure.
Okay, where can families go if they want to dig into this a little bit more?
So the best place to go is SAT.org. You're going to see upcoming test dates. You'll be able to register for the SAT. All of those free resources I mentioned, the practice ones, bigfuture.org, they're all linked there. It's a great kind of one-stop shop.
Priscilla, I really want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Grocery prices are still all over the place right now, and a lot of people are just trying to keep meals simple without overspending. There are a few ingredients that haven't jumped as much and could still carry a lot of flavor. Justine Santaniello is a lifestyle expert who's been working with easy, budget-friendly recipes that don't feel like compromise. Good to have you on the show, Justine. How are you, my friend?
Yes, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
You know, grocery prices are still a big concern. So what are some realistic ways people can stretch their food budget right now?
Totally. And listen, guys, I get it. I have a family. I've got 2 kids at home. I am in the grocery store sometimes multiple times a week. I'm preparing all of those weeknight meals. So I really do get it. And that's why ground pork has become the go-to protein really in my house because it's got that big flavor without those big prices.
So you're highlighting ground pork. So what makes that like the smart option compared to some of the other proteins?
Yeah, so listen, you already know you love your bacon, pepperoni, sausage, right? But that's really just the beginning. You want to taste what pork can do. And ground pork is naturally flavorful. It has a lot of flavor, a subtle sweetness. You've got these deep savory notes in there. It's also extremely versatile. So I can cook it in so many different ways. Air fry, sear, bake, roast, grill, you name it. And that's what we want, right? That versatility. It's also super juicy, super tender, and pretty easy to cook as well.
So when somebody brings it home, what's the best way to cook it so it actually delivers on flavor?
Yeah, so it really is easy to work with, guys, but I think the biggest thing is just you don't want to overcook it. So you want to be at 160 degrees. That's your sweet spot. When you're browning it, making sure that you're using medium-high heat, right? So that you don't overcook it because it's got such amazing juiciness to it and flavor to it. We don't want to take that out of it. And then also, you know, you can take it a step up, right? You can build your aromas to it. Add a little garlic or onion, shallots even to the pan first. Build those aromas up. Then put your ground pork in. Beautiful.
Hey, it looks like you got some dishes that you're working with. Can you walk us through a couple that are easy to pull off on a weeknight?
Yeah. Oh, yes. So let's start over here. So we've got a pasta fagioli, which I grew up eating in an Italian household. This looks super impressive to serve, but it only takes about 20 minutes to make. You've got beans in here, pasta, the ground pork. It's tomato based, very hearty, a lot of flavor, packs a punch. We love that. And then moving over here, listen, we're going into grilling season now. The weather is finally starting to turn, so you're going to be turning to burgers on the grill using ground pork. Now, these are a brown sugar pork burger. We put a bacon onion jam on top, which really plays to the subtle sweetness that you find in ground pork. Super, super delicious. And listen, if you're a big burger fan, you can use ground pork to make really any kind of a burger that you want to make and grill up this summer. And then moving this way, my kids have really been loving this one. So this is what we like to call an egg roll in a bowl. Essentially, it's a deconstructed egg roll. And you're using flavors in here that maybe you're not using on a regular basis. So sesame oil, soy sauce, you've got fresh green onions in here. There's cabbage, sesame seeds. Super yummy. This is a one-pan dish. I love that, right? So everything that you see here is pretty quick, easy, pretty easy on the cleanup side, but they all look super impressive.
So where can people go if they want to try some of these recipes themselves?
Yeah, so you guys can go to tastewhatporkcando.com. It'll have all the info there for you guys, plus tons of great recipe suggestions.
Justine Santaniello, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me, as always.
That's going to do it for Rise and Unwind. Thanks so much for watching. If you'd like to learn more about the show, visit our website at riseandwindtv.com. And for behind-the-scene moments and celebrity interviews, be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Rise and Wind. You can also find our full episodes on YouTube under the same name, Rise Unwind. Until next week, I'm Kayla, and thanks for spending a little bit of time with us here on Rise and Unwind.